Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the April 3rd Unionville Town Board meeting. We'll open it with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, Republic which stands one nation. Okay, motion to approve the minutes from March 6th.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, just have a reminder again that we'll have our annual roadside cleanup April 21st. That'll be at the the Clove Firehouse on North Clove Road, just north of the former circle, or actually it's Clove Road, isn't it?
Yeah, Clover.
Clove Road, just north of the former circle. And we'll be meeting there at 9:30 a.m. and disperse then to do the trash pickup along our town roads. Also have some good news. The Balloon Festival, annual Balloon Festival is scheduled for August 30th through September 1st. While out talking with residents this past year, quite a few people had asked about possible discount for residents since they're using our park. I spoke with Frank, the coordinator of the program, and he was very receptive and immediately responded. Our residents will enjoy tickets at nearly 50% discount. One catch, they will have to be purchased in person through the town clerk to verify residency. So plan ahead and, you get in here for quite a substantial discount. Board member reports, Councilman Walsh.
Okay, I was looking into possibly getting someone, and maybe the guy that patched the roof for at the senior center, just to get a little improvement. When I saw the presentation by Vincent, it was very impressive on how much roof is leaking, and I thought maybe if we could get somebody in there to at least temporarily hold off some of the water to minimize damage.
You said you have someone in mind?
Well, I would like to ask the guy that patched.
Yeah, he won't come back. I've already reached out to him.
You have?
Yes.
All right.
Anything else?
No, that's it for now.
Councilman Carlemi?
So I've been working on some of the things that I spoke at the last couple of meetings about, some of the expenses that we've had in the town. Signing some of the vouchers every day, every meeting. So I had spoken with Royal Carding, who I have a personal relationship with. They have offered to remove the fuel surcharge from our invoices. So that's about a savings of about $155 to $200 a month for us. Savings of about close to $2,000 a year. So I just wanted to report that. I'll give you some more information on that as soon as I get it from them in writing. I also did receive some quotes with some companies that I have relationships with for portable toilets for the parks, which I'll email to everybody on the board as well, which could also provide some savings to the town as well. So I have 3 quotes, which I'll email over to all the board members. I just got the last one early this week. So I'm going to send that over to everybody on the board so we can review. I did attend the Easter egg hunt this weekend. The Easter eggs did not stand a chance to those kids. They were gone within, seemed like seconds. It was a great event, a great turnout. Park was packed with kids and families. So I just want to say it was a great event. And thanks for the Parks and Rec Department for that.
Councilman McGivney?
Yes, I'd like to also echo what Pat said. I was at the Easter egg hunt this weekend. Also, Maggie, Vinny, and crew did a great job with that event. Easter Bunny was a big hit with the kids. My way home tonight, I saw Ed, the highway super, and his crew out there trying to clean these roads after this windstorm we had. I want to say thank you to him. That's all I got.
Okay, Councilman Derlin.
I don't really have much to report this. Thank you.
Okay. Town clerk report.
Thank you. So I mentioned last week, but I know there was no audio. Shredding day is again scheduled for Wednesday, June 5th. And if you want to be on the call list for when the truck arrives, as I won't know till that day, just let me know by phone or email. We also have a new resident in town. Zachary Cole, Emily, Cole, my deputy slash, Georgia's building clerk, gave birth to her third baby on Saturday. So both, her and the baby are doing well.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and they're both at home. And lastly, Demar Osika is having a Relay for Life event. It's at the Town of Beekman Recreation Center at the track there, and that's on Saturday, April 6th. All I have.
Tax collector report, okay.
Okay, today, April 3rd, 90% to date from 87% on March 20th, our last meeting. 2023, I was requested to tell you that we were also at 90%. So far, to date, penalty money that's going back to general funds is going to be $3,342.13. Versus last year, 2023, penalty money was $1,902.42. I did receive all of our utility company payments. They pay them directly to Dutchess County Finance. I was able to get them, and that's what brought our number up. Also, Millbrook Central School, they did reimburse us. Thank you, Steve, for getting the Reynolds property exempt. We now have $605.94 back into our account from getting that property exempt. Andrea and I are going to work on second notices going out to the 129 taxpayers that have not been able to pay yet. Probably by the end of this month, we'll have those out. Also, as of April 1st, it's a 3% penalty. That's April 30th. We will accept them in our Dropbox. Andrea and myself will be here first thing the following day to make sure we pick them up. Remember, they have to be hand stamped by the post office. If not, unfortunately, we have to charge you the next month's fee going into May 1st, which would be 4%. Hate to see that for any resident. Also, again, I'm going to echo Andrea on the sweet little baby boy that we've watched grow in his mommy, that he's a healthy little boy, mom's happy, and they're home. And again, thank you guys. Maggie, you guys knocked it out of the park. That was awesome. What a great day we had. And the residents, it showed. I think parked all the way up here at the town hall and walked down. So hands down, you guys did a great job. Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, engineers report. For those who don't know, this is Tom Harvey. He's our town engineer with Renia Engineering in Dover. And just for a little background, I did ask Tom to review both the roofs that we're looking at and our project list.
Oh, excellent.
All right, so as far as the project lists go, I don't have a exhaustive project list, but we know the projects that were in the works from prior years. One of the top one is the Highway Department salt shed. So we are, as based on your prior resolutions, approved to move forward with preparing plans for that. So our office is moving forward with that. I included the estimates that we had together here that were prepared previously. We went out for grants for that, which I guess we didn't get the grants for that, so.
Unfortunately, no.
We're still looking to move forward with that. We're gonna get the plans together and get the bid documents together as soon as possible and still shoot to get that going, hopefully before the snow falls. The next project on the list I noticed that before we get into the roofs is the Time Warp Park, the concrete bridge down here, which has some significant signs of cracking and issues with that bridge. So I've looked at that in previous years from my previous office, and that is one of the more severe concerns in the town. I know it's not a traffic bridge, but I know it's also an emergency response bridge and used to get the parks people around the park. So I think that's an important thing to start looking into. well past its useful life. The other thing about that is if that does fail and falls into the creek, we're gonna have some environmental problems and flooding that we're gonna have to be aware of. After that, I moved on to the roofs. So when looking at the roofs, I know there were some quotes prepared previously that sort of identified the scope. I didn't want to see the numbers on those quotes. I just wanted to see the scope.
Yeah.
So I kind of went through each roof, and I can go through each one with you if you want. And these are just rough numbers based on a comparable scope to what was estimated previously. With each of these, I have an overall condition rating, which is from 1 to 10. And basically, if you're anything 5 or under, you've got an actively leaking roof that's actively causing damage. And anything under 5, I think I strongly recommend we move forward with fixing. The town hall roof was one of the rating of 3. We know we got active leaks. We've got some damage coming in the drywall. And while we're doing the roof, it makes sense to address the gutters. So we've got an estimate on that one. And then we've added some costs for bidding and inspections that our office would probably do to oversee it. And then based on the condition rating, I apply a % contingency. So like with a 3 rating for the town hall, I carry a relatively strong contingency of 5%, which is almost $12,000 for things like sheathing replacement, drywall repairs associated with what leaks we had. Similarly, the next sort of highest priority, or maybe the first highest priority, is the Time Warner Park office and buildings down there. There's a lot of active leaks there. It's basically the lowest rating condition-wise. We've kind of looked at the square footage. We've looked at the gutters. In that case, the gutters are not in too bad shape, so we're not proposing any money be put into the gutters right now. Part of the roof work would be addressing the chimney. I know that the estimate talked about repointing the chimney. From everything I can understand, that chimney's not in use. So I would propose we take the chimney down to below the roof line and eliminate that penetration.
Yeah, we
eliminate
got
that
British
issue.
Oil Partner in there. Yes, I think that.
So I think that's gonna be a little more cost effective and a better long-term solution for us.
Sure.
The next one we looked at was the Time Warner Park Workshop, and that has like active holes in the roof and translucent panels with holes in it. It's a relatively simple roof to do, and that's a condition rating of 2 because of the active leaks. And then with that one, at least there's not a high contingency on that because there's not a lot of finishes that would have to be fixed. There's no sheathing that would have to be replaced, so the contingency on that I kept low. Just to keep with, again, the scope of what was looked at previously, the concession stand was looked at, and one of the things I noticed is that with that, he included 1,800 square feet. That's the whole entire building. So if we were to, that building is currently partially green corrugated metal and partially shingled. The shingled part's only about 500 square feet. So if we can justify keeping the metal, which looks like it's in good shape, maybe only 10 or 15 years old, and just do the shingle part, we can probably reduce that cost to do only 500 square feet. So for now, I left that number in there, so that we're looking at apples to apples with the estimate came in, but that's something I put in red because I want to revisit that quantity. The pavilion stage similarly, and those 2 items were both, from what I understand, not currently leaking. So I gave them a condition rate of 7, both the concession stand and the stage. The stage does show some shingles missing, a lot of moss on the roof, and with that, there's trees hanging over it. So I would strongly recommend before we do anything with the roof, we take those trees off so we don't have a tree potentially come through our Time Warner Park rental house also has active leaks in it, and based on the pictures I saw in there, I wasn't able to get in there, but the parks personnel were able to give good pictures and assessment on that, so I saw Vincent's report on that too, and there's significant damage in there, so that's a poor condition. I think it's an important thing to do for that rental to get that addressed.
Is that another one that has a lot of trees over it?
There's also, I suggested some tree removals on that too. There's a big pine tree right next to it, and pine trees and shingles.
There's 2
Yeah.
trees right in front that
Keeps it very damp.
Yeah,
Sure.
and then that's also why the gutters are all full of stuff and not functioning that well. That's contributing to some of the leaks. So then the last one I looked at was the highway department office. And they proposed to do all the new shingling, gutters, and I guess 3 windows. And when I looked at that and I talked to Ed about that, he was hopeful and had a feeling that the leaks might be just coming from issues and flashing issues around the chimney. So although I prepared an estimate based on shingle replacements, that's another one I want to revisit the scope on and talk about maybe getting some prices for repairs for those issues and not necessarily doing the whole shingle right now. And then maybe some money can be saved there because I think it actually is more important to do more windows. So there's like 7 or 8 windows, even just on the first floor there, that are really old style metal
Yeah.
frames with lots of broken panes.
The thirties.
And I think that would be a better thing to put more money into there, so we can look at that. So after all this, I kind of put it all together in an overall summary. And the total estimate for roof work was about 1.16 million. There would be options for bonding, and now this is where we get into how we would maybe do this work. Our office had a lot of experience with cooperative bids. We recently did a bunch of roofs for Dover School, about $2.6 million worth of roofs. We did that through a cooperative bid, and we saved about $1 million for the school doing it that way. Saved the detail on the plans. We end up with good contractors. We essentially, by using these cooperative bids, a lot of times you can get a national average price. So you can imagine here in New York how we're usually well above the national average. If we can hook into a national average price, it can be a great thing. And you can get vetted contractors, these cooperative bids, like in particular, some other information in this package is on TIPS. TIPS is a program that basically takes national bids, gets a bunch of bids in, awards it to certain contractors. It's done by the roofing manufacturer. Like for flat roofs, it was a Duralast brand because they do flat roofs. They don't do shingles. So through that, it would be like a GAF brand. And then they have subcontractors they pick. So essentially you'd get a scope together, you'd get an estimate, you'd find out if you wanted to do this, you have to sign up for TIPS. There's no cost to sign up for it. And then once you get this estimate together and you decide if you want to move into contract, you then take and you can get third-party estimates through the company to verify the pricing. And then you could start to develop the contract. And with that, at that time, our office would work with the supplier to coordinate the specifications, the type of materials to be used, the workmanship that's going to happen. You can get everything agreed to, and then move forward. There's a lot of benefits to doing it that way. The biggest benefit, I think, is eliminating a lot of our costs. You know, I put down here option 1 and 2 here. Option 1 is basically our costs. We'd have to coordinate some to get a contract like this together. We estimated about 0.5% of the project cost, so maybe $5,000 or $6,000 of our time to get that contract going. Versus the option 2, where we do a formal public bid, where we have to draw up plans for all 6 of these buildings, put together bid documents, put it out, most likely have to award it to the low bidder unless we can prove they're not responsible. So there's a lot of gambling in that, and that's about another $40,000 for us to put together that stuff. So we're a strong proponent. We've had a lot of luck with these cooperative bids. We seeing the estimate from Vanguard, they're a very reputable company. That's my recommendation on how to move forward with this roofs. From what I understand with Vanguard, they were potentially ready to get underway within 2 weeks and potentially get it all done within 6 weeks, which I find amazing. And if we were to prepare a public bid, that's the other thing I wrote down here, it would probably take us the next 2 months to put together bids for all these things, and we wouldn't be able to get it done before the camp season. So that's sort of the options for the roof. For the highway salt building and the concrete bridge, it's harder to find cooperative bids for those things, but we can do some looking if that's something you guys want us to get into, or some of you guys can do some research on it. Some of these other handouts I give you is just some really basic information on TIPS and cooperative bidding. I will say that some of the precedents, I guess, about this is, I learned recently that the LaGrange Fire Department was done through this same process just last year, and they were very happy with the results. Anybody have any questions?
This thing you have here for performance bond option.
Yes, there is an option. The contractor can provide a performance bond if you like it. You just pay that 4% for it if you want it. So it's, if you want it, you ask for it, and he rolls it into the project cost.
I'd like you guys to take this with you and look at it, and then at the next meeting, determine which direction we want to go with this.
One quick question.
Yep.
Are you aware of any grant opportunities for this type of work?
I am not. No, there may be as you get into the bridge and other things, and that was the other thing I was gonna get into. The other capital improvements that we've been looking at with Ed over the years, various culverts across the town.
Yeah.
But we haven't really gotten deep enough into that to price them or not yet, or figure out the priorities. And to be frank, it's a little overwhelming. There's 7 to 10 of them that kind of need work, and prioritizing them and seeing what we're gonna do with them. And some of the culverts in town, believe it or not, are tanker
Mostly
culverts.
the roofs right now.
Right. Yeah, I'm not aware of
Okay.
grants for
All right.
things.
Thank you.
What about, have you done anything with roof replacement with solar panels?
I have not. I would think that'd be two separate things. I think you do the roof and then coordinate with someone.
I'd have concern about the solar panels void warranty on the roof. Because anytime you penetrate a shingle, you're looking for trouble.
The only reason why I brought it up is obviously to cut the energy cost of the buildings and as well, you know, it protects the roof. Obviously, you have to worry about the warranty, about penetrating roofs as well, but you know, it could protect the roofs a little bit longer, maybe get longer life out of them. So
It could.
protecting them as well.
And I would think there'd be ways that the solar installer could work with the manufacturer's warranty inspectors and make sure that that could still be upheld.
And there might be able to grants for that process, and also through state for energy commission, we'll probably work on that as well. The other thing that I had a question about, was, do you know of anything through the state offer bidding that they have? That we could piggyback on?
Well, this is essentially a national piggyback, if you will. I'm not aware of specific to the state. I'm happy to look into if anybody finds any links or, access to it. The other cooperative group that was mentioned was, Construct Connect. They didn't have as much information as TIPS does, so it's really hard to find stuff online about that, but that is an option.
There's another company that's very similar. It's called Sourcewell. But I think they might be more geared towards actual items rather than contractors.
Mhm.
And it's.
And what I found interesting about this TIPS program is that even though it's geared towards roofing, it allows you to put in there the things like the windows or even the contingency. So, I didn't look at the numbers from Vanguard, but I don't think it included contingencies for sheathing and things
No,
like
we
that.
hadn't got to that
So
point.
we would wanna figure out how to be prepared for that and include that if something like that was good.
Yeah, that has always been my concern too. Obviously, when we address the roofs, once we start ripping off shingles and plywood, what could else be under there that could, we have to start worrying about too when we look at this.
Yeah, we have, there's likely to be some minor structural repairs and almost definitely sheathing replacement.
And the longer we wait, the worse it's gonna get.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's it for today.
Yes.
Anybody have any further questions for Tom?
I would think if we did try to do those solar companies,
I think, I really don't want to get solar confused with the roofs. Right now, our problem is the roofs, the solars can be added at
Yeah.
a later date. So I don't want to get tangled up in that. Let's focus on the roofs at this point. And if you want to pursue solar power, then that's something we can do as a separate topic.
the only reason I bring that up is because I know if you do solar, I don't know what it is for municipalities, but if you do solar and you do your roof the same time you do solar, at least in the residential sector, you get the same rebate towards your roof. So you get like 30% off your roof. If the solar rebate is like 30%, you also will get something similar to that for the roof replacement.
Yeah, I wonder
We
if
got-
towns
but I don't know how that
eligible for that
works.
since they don't pay taxes.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know
probably.
how that works with municipalities. I guess we have to look into that, but I know that is the case for residential.
And you've got lots of big roofs. I'm not sure if they're south facing off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
I bet some of them.
Just something to think about or look into.
All right, thank you, Tom.
Yeah, thanks for all the details.
All right. You want me to stick around for any other parts, Steve?
What are you thinking? I don't see anything on here.
I don't think so. It just
Yeah.
asked.
Yeah, I think. you
Didn't
gave
want
us
to
a
walk
lot
out
there.
on you if you needed me.
Yeah,
All right, anybody have any questions, feel free to contact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, rec department.
All right, so as a lot of you guys already mentioned, we had the egg hunt this Saturday. I want to thank you guys who came out. Great to see you guys there. Yeah, so thank you to all the staff and volunteers who came to help too. You guys make the event possible. Spreading eggs, Easter bunny, all that stuff. And thank you to everybody who came and participated. This was a like knock out of the park participation for this event. I've never seen this many people. It was a beautiful day. And we look forward to running it next year. Last week, we ran our full day TGTT program for the local school district's day off for spring break. Students K through 5th enjoyed our playground, open fields. We did themed crafts and activities and lots of games. We do have a few dates left for full and half days throughout the school year. Those are open for registration on the Parks and Rec website, and more information on that can be found there as well. As I mentioned last meeting, there's a few seats left for TLC across the board for the sessions for summer camp. It has been slowly filling up as the days go by. So if you want to sign up for that, do that as soon as possible. And more information on that and registration can be found on the website as well. So that's it for my report. I wanted to know if we could circle back to what we discussed last meeting regarding pay rates for camp and aquatics. If we've come to a decision on that one.
Right.
Do you have any questions for me?
I have one question.
Okay.
So the ranges that you're proposing, because I know you did this last year and now you're coming back again this year. Do you think that these increases are going to be substantial enough or in a good range for you for coming years? Or do you think, I mean, I know obviously you can't predict what's going to happen next year, but do you think it's going to be something that's going to be maybe for 1 or 2 years you could live with, or something that might have to be updated again next year?
It's hard to say, you know, because if minimum wage changes, then we would need to reflect that. That's the biggest part of this is that minimum wage went up so much this year. I believe last year it was $14.20, and now it's 15. So I would like to say yes, and I would definitely keep an eye on things as we move forward and we go into August. And you know, I'll meet with the supervisor and we'll discuss and keep a lookout. So it's hard to say. I'm not sure what the future holds for that, but I would like it to, obviously. So.
Yeah, and do you know, looking at this, if you're gonna have a lot of people on the high side of the number, or you think it's in the middle and you're the, you know, because that's just my concern. I don't want to, you know, we set the budget at the end of the year and then, you know, every year we have to come back and look at it, which I completely understand because minimum wage changes. I just want to be prepared going forward so that we're, you know, we're in a good position. So if there's something that you might think you need a little bit more leverage, I think that maybe now might be the best time since we're actively discussing it to just get it out if you need to. But if you feel comfortable, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Okay. Yeah. As of now, because again, I can't see the future. I don't know what it's going to look like next year. I mean, maybe for our rec leaders, it might have to change a little bit to reflect the lowest person, you know, having minimum wage. But that wouldn't go up, you know, super high in terms of that. So, I mean, we could maybe increase on the salary sheet those ranges to try to cover that for that next year. That's what I'm thinking to answer that question. But again, it's hard for me to say what it's going to look like next year in terms of rates for minimum wage. But the good news is these sheets exist forever, so we can just plug in the numbers and know well early on before we really get into budgeting season next year. So.
Right, and Maggie and I are gonna sit down and go over where we may need to increase the registration fee for camp to, you know, cover the payroll expenses.
Yeah, there's definitely options going into next year like that. Yeah.
Right. You mentioned that you were gonna be able to cover a portion of this with additional registrations.
Yes, so to cover the counselor expenses, doing the math, we are looking to add 6 extra kids per traditional camp session. You can't really do it with kids camp because they use the kiddie pool and again, you have to worry about how many kids are in that pool, for ratios and staffing. So with 6 extra kids, if you went by the resident rate, if they were all residents, for 4 sessions, it would be, 8,400 more. And we need to cover 8,105 is the difference between the current budget and what we would need for these new rates. So, and like I've said, we have a pretty extensive wait list, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. Stephanie and I have already been plugging in some kids where we can. It is just, again, we have to look what our groups look like and where there is room according to the ratio for certain age groups.
Right, so basically what we're talking about is the pool coverage then.
Yeah,
Is
that
where-
would be a
where
little
you're gonna
different,
need some
yeah.
help.
Yes. The pool's tougher because you can't really predict how many pool passes will sell, how many
Right.
memberships will sell. It's not like with camp where you could just add some extra things here and there. So that's a little different.
And there is a chance that, you know, a lot of this, if we put the funds towards it, may not be used if she's able to
Mhm.
increase that and it'll all come
Yeah.
back into
Mhm.
the account anyways, but, rather have her able to do what she needs to do, going forward.
Yeah,
I mean, we can't lose the people that we have in place now.
Right, exactly.
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
It's hard to get people.
Are you having problems hiring or?
No, I mean, a lot of our camp staff and some of our aquatic staff are returners and they like working with us, but it is a matter of they're college age kids, they're residents, they want to work with us, but if we can't reach certain expectations, then they can't. And I understand it.
And some of the neighboring towns are paying
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
competitive wages.
Yeah, how
Mhm.
competitive are we compared to other towns?
For certain positions, I would say we're fairly in line with them. For other positions, we're definitely doing more due diligence with this situation.
Like council,
What was that?
Just like council.
So, I'd like to, entertain a motion then to go ahead and fund the, her needs. From the, yeah, as requested from the fund balance.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
Okay. Senior Center, she wasn't able to make it in tonight with the weather being what it is. Public comment on agenda items. Yes. Well, I'm sorry. Nobody else can hear you unless you go up to the podium. Oh, she's gonna bring in a microphone.
Thank you, sweetie. Okay.
Karaoke.
Please do not jump that you have to put solar panels on roofs. There's such a thing as a ground mount. You're drilling all these holes. Come on. All right, fix the roofs. Ground mount for solar if you ever get that far. Number two, years ago, Tom Farmer was on the town board. He founded the Timer Park Scholarship Fund because at that time, we had the same thing that she was just talking about. We weren't paying on a par with the surrounding towns. The scholarship fund, I have retired from that for several years, so I don't know where it stands, but people have been very supportive of it. I'm glad to see that it's still there. I'm sure of that. It's still there, but what you're talking about will enable everybody who is working for recreation to get an appropriate salary. Ta-da, I'll chip in, not a lot. I did not win the lottery. All right, come on, Spidey. Let's go shoot, pass what you do.
Anyone else with, public comment? Okay. So the first item on here is the postage meter. And I sent you some information on that. The US Postal Service is requiring us to have a, QR code on metered postage going forward. It might work. Here it is. And the new style meter is $34.51 a month more than what our current meter is.
Yeah,
Um,
but it sounds like we don't have a choice.
well, we don't.
Comply with it.
It's
Really, we're gonna have to comply with the rules. The lease is expiring in May. So from May forward, we need to have a new lease. And like I said, it's $34.51 for a machine with the same features plus the QR code
Yeah,
and, additional. So that amounts to needing to move $280 into that budget line, to cover that expense. So, would need a motion
All
to
right,
do
I'll make
that.
a motion, we move 280 into that line and purchase the new meter to comply with regulations.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. While I'm on that, before we get into the next thing, George got his new file cabinet. And what we weren't aware was when he ordered this thing, there was a government discount on it. And he still has files that are not filed. So the government discount, yeah, with the discount, he had enough funds in the 6,000 that we allotted to purchase a second.
Oh.
So just want to make sure everybody's okay with doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what, I think 20, the voucher, I think it was like $2,800. And
It,
it
it's, yeah, it ends
So
up being 20,
5,600.
yeah, it was, yeah, I think it's
Today's
2,500
price was-
and the
yeah.
shipping was included, I guess.
Yeah, it was included
Yeah.
in the cost.
So, we were figuring that there was going to be a big shipping charge based on the weight of the thing, but, and then there was that big discount that we were anticipating, so I'll let him know, then we can go ahead with that. Okay. Here we are at the town center discussion.
Start with that, Steve.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so as we talked a couple meetings ago, there were some changes within regards to the town center zone change that we did before. So there's three things that I wanted to update. I circulated it to the board. So first one that we're contemplating changing is the definition of subdivision down to the definition of a major subdivision. So some of the wording that's in there is including a common driveway. You know, 4 words that have caused problems for, I think, up to 3 applicants that have come in front of the planning board before. So what that does is including a common driveway in a major subdivision, it triggers them to have to do a conservation subdivision, which on these smaller minor subdivisions is such a big hurdle for residents to have to do or landowners to have to do, because they have to keep 50% of their property open space. So it's actually caused applicants to just withdraw their applications, do absolutely nothing in the town. So one of the things that we're proposing to remove is the 4 words that say including a common driveway from the major subdivision language in the definitions.
Mhm.
The second thing, when we talked about putting a maximum square footage of 2,500 square feet on buildings in the town center zone, one of the issues that it didn't carve out is the 2,500 square foot footprint applying to the residential uses. So one of the things, just as one of the examples that's allowed in the town center zone, is a multifamily house that allows up to 12 units. There's no way possible you can build a 12-unit multifamily house and get only 2,500 square feet. So some of the clarification we're adding to, again, to that in the design standards is putting a per structure for commercial uses and not applicable to multifamily dwellings, townhomes, or other residential structures.
Mhm.
So it puts the restriction on the commercial buildings and not on any of the residential uses that are allowed in the town center zone district. The third thing is something that came up in regards to the fire advisory council and the fire code within the state. So with developing the town center, we're looking for smaller rural roads. So we put that the road width could be up to 20 feet. So through the fire code and through advice from the fire advisory council, you know, with the turning of fire trucks and equipment, 26 feet seemed to be more applicable to what they needed. So changing the code from 20 to up to 26, giving the latitude for the applicants and for the fire advisory council and the planning board to make it anywhere up to 26 feet, which is what the fire advisory council would like. And it also is in line with New York State Fire Code. So those are the 3 things that we were looking into updating in the town center zone code. So basically the reasons are what I gave for the common driveway. We do have an active applicant who is in front of the planning board who is going to hopefully be going to a public hearing and hopefully an approval if they go through it. And the 26-foot road width is kind of holding them up right now. So that's one of the reasons why we started this process. So I had Jim Nelson prepare a resolution of introduction as well as an EAF. As you know, anything in code changes has to go through the whole secret process. Notification has to go out to the planning board, the neighboring towns, Beekman and LaGrange, as well as the Dutchess County planning. So the process could take up to 30 days. Planning board hopefully get back to us sooner. The notice to the two municipal bordering towns of LaGrange and Beekman, they only need 10 days. Dutchess County planning could be up to 30. They have answered faster before. We could also try to push them a little bit if we wanted to get an answer faster from them. I don't think they're going to have much input on something like this. In the past, they haven't, on little code changes, haven't had much input. So those are the other things that we kind of have to look at in here,
Yeah.
which are noted in the EAF that I circulated to everyone. So I wanted to open a discussion about this, and hopefully we can start to move this process a little bit forward.
I think when we initially passed this, we knew come across a few small items that were gonna need to be adjusted.
Right, when you have a major zoning update, there's always little
Yeah.
ins and outs like this that you don't always anticipate, that you really gotta go back and fine tune it, so. I'm glad that's all it is.
Well, one of the items that the county raised was this 2,500 square foot limit on building size. And I feel that's, I don't feel that's adequate either if we're looking to have commercial development through that area. There's not much that you can do in a commercial building with that little amount of space to work with and have it be profitable. I think that's something that we need to look at.
So in regards to that, when, I know that was some of the concerns that were brought up with the county, and from, I think, Kevin, you brought that up as well during the meeting.
Yeah.
So there are some other things in regards to the code change where, 0 side setbacks on buildings. So the buildings can be closer. I mean, they can't have door to door, but they can have door to door on the second floor on buildings in the TC zone. I guess from the discussions we had with property owners at the time and residents were, smaller mom and pop shops is what the town was looking for, and not big 5, 6, 8,000 square foot where, commercial establishments like, that's kind of what we were looking for. I think that applicants, if they come in and they have something that's bigger square footage, they could always go to the ZBA for a variance. So, there is that capability, and we also do have the chance to come back. I think that we are probably going to have to adjust this code more, I think, as more applicants come in. So I don't think this is going to be the last adjustment we're going to make to the town center zone change, to be completely honest with you. I think other things are going to come up as we get more applicants. Hopefully this will start to pick up and we'll get some commercial development in the town. But, this is just the beginning from what I see.
Yeah, and I happen to agree with Steve on that, the commercial side of 2,500 square foot, as I did in the past. The cost of building stuff nowadays and all the requirements, the facades and everything else. To build a 2,500 square foot building, a lot of times the return is not going to justify the costs. So I don't, I think it'll be cost prohibitive to, for any commercial down in that town center, with those restrictions.
The place that you see these mom and pop stores are in cities. Or, very dense villages. And we don't have that here, and I think it's gonna be a long time before we ever see that type of population in Unionville. I just don't think this makes us attractive to somebody who wants to do some commercial development here.
I think through all the conversations that we had with the planner amongst the boards, multiple boards, we didn't really want to attract kind of what
Well,
you're,
then you're gonna
what
see that
you're,
land sit
what,
vacant.
I mean, potentially, but, we talked about it at length, and I think the general consensus was that we didn't want big boxy type stores there. And like Pat just said, we have the ability to adjust further, or they can go to the ZBA to seek relief if they have a plan that the ZBA could get on board with, or the planning board could get on board with.
Well, I can also tell you, I was up in Poughkeepsie the other day, in the development they just built at the old psych center, where they built the brand new ShopRite and everything like that. There are, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 commercial businesses in 2,500. They're probably 2,500 square foot. They're not big whatsoever. There's a dumpling place. There's a Jersey Mike's. There's a fast serve barbecue place. There's a nail salon. They're all in small little probably 2,500, maybe a little bit bigger, 3,000 square foot buildings. There's probably about 10 or 12 of them in that shopping center.
But-
You know,
But you also have the anchor tenants, the bigger shop, right, and everything else that's drawing the people in where these small stores can survive.
yeah.
Right,
so-
and you're talking about a densely populated area.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna eventually build them there, but what I'm saying is it is capable for them to do quick serve small restaurants, which is something that could come into the town. And that's why, if you remember, we left Bonavina in the town center, who is the applicant that's actively searching to get their approval, which is gonna be 40 residential dwellings. That they're gonna be building right there to give some increased density to that area. That was the whole point of keeping them in here. So that's what the 26 square foot is, 26 foot setback on the roads. I mean, with road on the roads is mainly for them right now. They're the applicant in there, but it also will suffice to the other applicant that was before us that hasn't come back yet though, for the Cross Orchards, who is looking to do the same thing. So we do have the capability of 2 anchor residential developments. That could be anywhere between, 40 to 100 residential dwellings that have come in front of the planning board before, which could support the commercial. So that is the reason why we kept those 2 parcels specifically in town center to be able to feed this commercial growth that we're hoping to get.
Another issue I had kind of with this town center, I know it's a little off topic too, is when we did the town center, there was 2 parcels in particular that I believe to be spot zoned, where they're surrounded by commercial property and they're zoned residential. So that might be an issue that comes up in the future also. There was a lot of things I didn't like about the town center zoning, and that's, was the reason why I voted no on it last time around. But these things could come back to us. I don't know if it's something we should look at now or adjust when we need to.
Well, we're going through the motions here and I would like to make this right. In one shot, instead of having to keep coming back to it and doing the same thing over and over again. To me, it's a waste of time. But, we aren't gonna decide this tonight, but, those are my feelings on it.
The only reason why I was hoping to push this forward tonight is because we have an applicant that's been in front of the planning board for the last year and a half. And it's probably been closer to 3 years that they've been waiting. And this now is holding them up when they're almost through the process. So the 26 foot road width is gonna hold them up for who knows how much longer now if we sit on this any longer. Because like I said, if we schedule this now for a public hearing for, let's say, the May 1st meeting, we could continue and keep it open to the next meeting if we don't hear back from the Dutchess County Planning in time. Because they could be potentially scheduled next week for a public hearing for, I think it's May 10th. Where they could get their approval, but if we don't have the road width adjusted to 26 by that point, they could just stall and it could just sit there. And we could potentially lose the development of the town. So that's the only.
Well, you
reason-
mentioned going to the ZBA. They can't go to the ZBA with the road adjustment?
They could go to the ZBA for a road adjustment.
My feeling is that we know that this is an active problem. We can address it now. We can address it tonight. I mean, if we have larger issues that are not presented through applications, we can have a more in-depth visit later on,
Yeah,
instead of trying to rewrite the code after we found one problem. Let's get this done for these people that have been waiting for a year and a half. I'm familiar with.
Well, I'm not-
Familiar with this project, familiar with.
I'm not looking to hold anybody up, but at the same time, if we're gonna make amendments, let's do it properly. There's other issues here as well.
I don't dispute that there's probably some other issues, but we'll be talking about this for months if we start dragging other issues into it.
The code, not even the town center code, the code in general has a lot of issues.
Right.
And the code in general has had a lot of issues since it was redone. And to undertake and I'm not saying that's what we're talking about now, but to undertake actually reviewing our town code for the zoning would be such a heavy lift and it would cost a lot of money. So that's why, I parceled off these couple of things that I know that are an active issue right now to address them. But I think, over time, we could definitely come back to things that we know could be problems. I mean, I know of actively another problem that could come up after this is done. Because this one of the subdivisions that could potentially come back to us is the Arnold subdivision. Which one of the driveways that he was proposing in the code actually encourages more paved to be done because of the slope on the drive. So that could be something that could come back to us as well. But I don't know if they're gonna come back in front of the town board again, so in front of the planning board again. So we're gonna get, I think, as more applicants come in for the town center and for other areas in the town, we're gonna run into more issues with our code.
Yeah.
We always have issues with our code. Our code is a beast to get through,
It is.
a beast to get through. And it's a spider web. You go to one section, it diverts you to another section, diverts you to another section, and it just becomes a headache. So that's why these three things are things that were brought up when I was the chairman of the planning board. The planning board is still having issues with it. Nan Stolzenberg, who is the planner, had issues with these things. Jim Nelson had issues with these things as well. And I talked to George Kolb about it. George Kolb loves the idea because it straightens out a lot of things that he's dealing with right now. So we have the support of George Kolb, we have the support of Nan Stolzenberg, we have the support of Jim Nelson. We have the support of Alan, who's the chairman of the planning board. I was the chairman of the planning board. And I think these are great changes.
And the main thing is we have an active application that this is holding up unless we move on, right?
100%.
I agree. It's nice to try to be proactive, but I don't know that, like Pat's saying, that's a huge heavy lift. And I was chairman of the planning board also, and it was a nightmare working through the code, and you cannot fix that in 2 or 3 meetings. That's why the idea of doing the TC zone was an active problem that we knew was a problem, but there's other zones that have issues and lots of issues.
We're not talking about those. We're talking
I know,
about
but I'm
this.
saying besides TC, there's a lot of issues that we could slowly work through, but we know we have active issues right this moment.
Well, in
Our
my
job-
opinion, that's an active issue. That's the 2,500 square foot's an active issue.
We don't have anything that dictates that besides
Yeah.
opinions.
There's no applications for such a project, right?
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing that is an active issue that is showing that as being a problem right now. It could, I'm not saying it's not going to be, but the common driveway thing, there's 2, and I can't remember the third one that is an active problem. The 26-foot roadway width is an active problem, and the 2,500 square foot is an active problem. The Bonavina application was able to get in right under that, but if they went any 1 square foot bigger on their buildings, they would have a problem with it as well. So they were able to adjust their plan to stay 1 square foot under that, but that is an active issue that was on the Bonavina project.
Well, I think we can all agree that the problems that are presented before us tonight need to be acted on. We can certainly talk about the other problems when they either become problems or we talk about it later, but our job is to try to help the residents out, and I think that we should move forward with that.
I mean, I have a resolution and introduction, which I could read, if you want. If you want me to.
Well, you gotta make a motion to read it.
Well, I'd have to read it and then we'd make a motion to
All right,
vote
I'll
on
make
it.
a motion to read it.
All right, so resolution introduction. Whereas by local law 1 of 2023, the town of Unionville enacted amendments and additions to the town code relating to the subdivision of land, chapter 192, development in the TC Town Center zoning district, chapter 210, and common driveway and private roads, chapter 215. And whereas with the benefit of working experience with those amendments and their practical impacts, the town board now wishes to consider further refinements to the town subdivision law regarding the definition of a major subdivision, the zoning law regarding commercial versus non-commercial building footprints in the TC zone, and the private road width standards. Whereas, where did that? So whereas reported that by the state law, the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has 30 days to review and comment on proposed zoning changes, General Municipal Law 239M, that recommends recommendations from the town planning regarding the proposed amendments must be solicited in accordance with Town Code 21083B2 as amended, and that certain published, posted, and mailed notices of proposed local laws and the public hearing related to it must be given. And whereas in order to effect these local amendments by local law, it'll be who offered the resolution and adopted. And whereas on the state introduced the local law for the town code, which would be a local law in 2024, amending section 192 of subdivision of land, at 192 the definition of major subdivision, Chapter 210 zoning at 210 attachment number 3, design standards for the town center at C13E are the maximum square footage for commercial use structures and TC, and chapter A215 street specifications as figures 1, 1A and 5 regarding private road width specifications. Now for be it resolved that the public hearing be held in relation to the adoption of these local law amendments, copies of which are annexed to as Exhibit A and incorporated herein as rectified verbatim and with the language to be deleted or stricken and the language to be added underscored, and at which hearing parties and interest shall have the opportunity to be heard, the town board meeting at the Town Hall, 249 Duncan Avenue, LaGrangeville, New York, on 5, what's the next meeting? 2 would be 5. Well, so we'll do 5-1 to give enough time to hear back. At 7 p.m. prevailing time, and notice of said public hearing be posted and published in the official newspaper of general circulation in the town of Unionville by town clerk at least 10 days before such hearing. That such notice shall be in the form. Notice of public hearing. Take notice the town board of the town of Unionville will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, in the town of Unionville on 5/1/2024 at 7 o'clock on proposed local law. I think it would be local number 1, right? Of 2024, Town of Unionville, Dutchess County, a local law amending Town Code Chapter 192 subdivision of land, 192-3 definition of major subdivisions, Chapter 210 zoning at 210 attachment number 3, design standards for the town center zone district at C13E regarding the maximum square footage for commercial uses in the town center zone, and chapter A1215 to A215 street specifications at figure 1, 1A and 5 regarding private road width. And be further noticed, copies of our said proposed local law will be available in examination at the office of the town clerk of the town of Unionville at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, between the hours of 9:30 and 4 p.m. on all business days, Monday through Thursday, on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 12, January through June. Between this date and the notice and the date of public hearing at the town's website, www.unionvilleny.us. Take further notices that persons interested shall have the opportunity to be heard on proposal at the time and place aforeseen. In addition to in-person viewing, the public hearing will be held via Zoom for the Unionville's YouTube channel. The Zoom meeting link and passcode will be provided by Andrea at the time when the public notice is sent out. The invite for the Zoom will be posted on the Unionville website in the morning of the public hearing. If you wish to be called upon to comment on the public hearing while participating in the Zoom, you can place your name by contacting the town clerk at townclerk@unionvilleny.us or by calling 845-724-5600. In-person attendees will be able to sign up when entering the hearing room. For any questions, contact Andrea Casey. So now we have to go through, be it further resolved that the town clerk shall refer a copy of this resolution, the annex proposed local law, and notice of the public hearing to any municipal clerk or each abutting municipality no less than 10 days prior to said public hearing, in accordance with 239 NN of the general municipal law, refers a full statement of the proposed action and its copy, resolution, and the EF, and the complete text of the proposed local law, as well as existing provisions that will be affected. And the notice of public hearing to Dutchess County Planning and Economic Development at least 30 days before public hearing review of an ordinance with 239 N of the general municipal law. A said copy of resolution, the annex proposed local law, the EF, and the notice public hearing to the town of Unionville Planning Board at least 30 days prior before the public hearing, and its review and recommendation pursuant to Town Code 210-38. And be it further resolved that because no zoning map changes are being made, mailing and posting requirements for Town Code 210-83 are not applicable. And be it further resolved, the only agency charged with adopting changes to the town code, and there being no other involved agencies, this town board determines that they're reviewing the annexed environmental assessment form part 1, dated, date off of this. This is dated. 1 second. Dated. What's today's date? So dated 4/3/2024. The local adoption of these local law amendments is a type 1 action under the New York State SEQA State Environmental Quality Review Act, and the town board declares its intent to be lead agency, and I will conduct the environmental review thereafter. So that is the resolution introduction. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote.
Lenny,
Yes.
Councilman Welsh,
Yes.
Supervisor Frazier.
I agree that, the improvements need to be made, but I also feel that there needs to be further improvement. My vote is no.
Councilman Derland,
Yes.
Councilman McGivney.
Nay.
I'll give you a copy of all this stuff.
Kevin, the recycle board, an information board for the recycle center. You had sent us some links. Have you shown these to Peter?
No, I didn't get a chance to show Peter, but I know Peter was looking at one of them.
Okay.
One option. Take a pass it down. So the first option on the front page is a cheaper bulletin board. It's aluminum, sold by Amazon. I think it's about $400 roughly, $398, $399. So that's one option. Size was 48 wide, 34 tall. The other option was a little bit more expensive. I think this is the one that Peter liked a little better. I think it was around $500 if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I don't see it here.
It's on the next
Right.
page, it's the 404.95.
Yeah, I think he was looking at the next size up, which I think was 5. Yeah, so he was looking at the 28 by 40, 27
Oh,
by
okay, there we
48.
are.
It was $520. About $120 more. The one that Peter likes was made out of like a recycled composite. You can get it in multiple colors. I think there was greens, blacks, whites. Yeah, that was the composite.
Now, does that come with letters or I wasn't
I
seeing
think
how
it's
the
just
messages were
it's just
posted.
a padded or cork backboard where they would post.
So
post
push bin
notes.
type thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's weather resistant. They're both weather resistant, weather rated. I think that this one might have had a sliding glass where this has hinges on it. But they both pretty much serve the same purpose.
I see the one has the option for a lock. Does that make a difference to them?
When I spoke to Peter, he said a lock was not necessary.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
locked the gate.
yeah, the gate's locked up, so it's not like it's open, and he's there when it's not. I don't think that's gonna be a big issue. I'm sure people don't want to break into the message board. You never know.
My thing is just as long as we get one the right size, we should make sure that,
Right.
posting, so they don't, we end up having to have two. I think we make sure we post exactly what they need, because I'd rather, get one bigger.
You want to have more discussion with Peter on this, on
Yeah. I
what
guess
his
we
needs
can
are?
see,
Yes,
I mean,
we'll bring
the
this back.
sizes are about the same. These 27 by 48 versus, I think, 34 by 48. They're roughly the same size, but yeah, I could have more discussion with Peter and
Okay.
measure the side of the building, see if it's gonna fit the way we want it to.
That was my next question. So they're gonna post it on the side of the building. It doesn't need to be mounted anywhere, like in a post or anything. They're gonna just put it on the side
I
of the
think
building.
the plants are put on the side of the building.
Right.
Perfect.
Just to have letters like that large, or is it?
But that's
for
more
like
like,
general bulletin stuff?
Bull-
Right? They wanna
bulletins
be
that
able
you
to
put on.
see it, right? As we're
You know,
driving up to it.
or if you walk up to it to see what's accepted, what's not, they can post numerous 8.5 by 11 sheets with the rules.
What do
Yeah,
they
that
do?
would be beneficial to the people using the facility.
They don't have
I just wonder
anything
if they
posted
should be able
now.
to see it.
Yeah, I'm
From a
thinking,
distance.
I was thinking the same thing, but they do have a board when you enter the property.
Signboard,
Yeah, signboard there.
And most people come to the booth to
Yeah,
get their
and they
cards
do
and
have to get their,
stuff,
yeah,
they
exactly,
go
but
to dump.
we could make poster sized announcements
Yeah.
and hang in there too. But yeah, that's a discussion to have with Peter about whether that's gonna be large enough.
Yeah, I could follow up.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, good idea.
Like to make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss town security. Should be a brief discussion. And then we will come back and we'll have one more thing then to approve. And, that'll do it.
All right, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go across the hall for a minute.
What was the, executive?
That's
session?
for town security.
Sure. Session.
Okay, motion to come back into regular session.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So we have one more item. I sent you all the lease.
Yes.
And the tenants and
Yep. 11.
such, so, like to entertain a motion to accept the lease agreement for the Woodcock family.
I'll make that motion to accept the lease agreement.
I'll
Have
second it.
supervisor sign.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. So we did, get number 11 rented. I'm sorry? Yes, oh, no, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, now we're open to public comment on town issues.
But thank you.
Started.
I still have about 500 to get. Okay, Jean Moore, 5 Darren Road. First of all, I would like to thank our new municipal parks manager for the very thorough and complete presentation he gave us on March 20th about the state of our facilities, not just the ones used by the park program itself, but all of the facilities that are used by the town residents at time on. The old saying is that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that certainly was true in this instance. I was pretty upset and angry after that meeting because it seemed as though some of our town councilmen who should be keeping track of what is happening in our town with our important infrastructure let us down. So when I got home, I compiled an 11-page document summarizing the minutes of all the meetings when a discussion about capital projects came up during a town meeting or during a town meeting, or it came up and then was pushed aside. Doing so made me realize that it will not help to establish blame, even though there are many times that some of those fix-it projects were brought up but very often they were shoved to the side for other projects deemed more important by our town board, such as 2 lawsuits, the solar field installation, a cell tower installation, and annexation, developing town center guidelines, developing developing rental property in our park, concerns about the Furnace Pond Dam, vehicle repair, field and pool care, and the push to have our own town library. As I thought about this list, I realized that we might be expecting too much of our town board members. They do a great job helping to repair and order needed equipment or supplies, as our town highway superintendent and our last parks manager did. We do have the assistance of the town engineer, Tom Harvey, but it seems to me that we still need more hands on deck, so to speak. So I propose to the board that you consider hiring a facilities manager to coordinate all these projects, especially the repairs with the town board and the other 3 people that would be intimately involved in repairs. Yes, there may be a bit of a cost to this proposed position, but it may end up saving money in the long run. And I would like to point out that of 15 neighboring towns and school districts around us, both bigger and smaller than we are, 10 of the 15 have departments called Buildings and Grounds, or Facilities and Operations, or Public Works, or just Facilities. If our town board were to do the same, we should never be in the position where one of our board members say, quote, "I am embarrassed about this," unquote. Or another board member will not be saying, quote, "Nothing was reported," unquote. That's all.
Thank you.
Oh, and this is the document that I did, 11 pages from 2017 to 2024.
Any other public comment?
Hi, good evening. So thank you. I realized the library was not listed on the agenda.
Well, we've had you on the agenda twice and no one came and you typically have been on the second meeting in the month. So it wasn't.
Can
an
I
oversight.
finish? Thanks. So, but I did want to ask for the board's help this evening. So the trustees have been trying to have our new director hired since March 5th. We have reviewed with the board that due to the resignation of the previous director, we have a position on the town's civil service roster for library manager. Civil service may have been under the impression that Alex Cohen, who is getting paid as a consultant, is fulfilling that civil service role. We have verified that his role is as a consultant. He is not receiving any of the same benefits as a civil service employee. The library trustees are thrilled to have a resident of Unionville eager and qualified to serve our community as the library director. We hope that this evening the board can take action on this to finally expedite her hire. We do have additional updates to share, but I recognize it was a full agenda and I'm fine with, now that I know that it's the second meeting of the month that the library is allowed to report, we will make sure someone is here.
Well, you're welcome to attend if you notify me to put you on the agenda as well. Prior to any meeting, any
Whatever
upcoming meeting.
your
If you have
service is.
something to say, let me know. I'll put you on the agenda.
It's good to know that's how you would like to operate. I'm happy to hear that. So again, we're just really asking for Karen Foley to be hired because we need a director in order to continue with our.
Right, and as
other
I've mentioned
libraries.
in the emails, we are subject to the civil service. They dictate how we hire people. And there's some question about whether that position is available to us.
Understood.
still
So that
being resolved.
position,
I think that was approved already.
It was approved, but it's in question at this time based on the definition of a library. So has not been,
According to Kristen at Civil Service, it is a approved position. And we've already hired somebody. Unfortunately, they didn't stay on the job. We had already.
well, John, I've been speaking with Kristen myself. And when I spoke to her about this application, she said that we're not eligible to have that position in this town. So
Why did she
that-
say that?
because we do not have a library charter.
That's-
That is what I've been told by Kristen. I'm still trying to work that out with the additional information that I've been given by Amy here. And she was on vacation. She's back this week and I'm
Yeah.
working on getting that resolved.
Okay, my understanding is to be chartered, we need to have that position filled. So
That's
you
correct.
can't not allow it to be filled
Correct.
and expect to get a charter.
Correct. Which is why Alex has been working for us, but we would like to go to having a director back in place. And now that it's actually a resident, we feel like it's timely and I don't want to lose her, to be very honest with you. She's been very excited about the potential of coming on as our director.
I really think we should move forward.
I
Let you
appreciate
hire her. And then the charter process can continue.
Thank you. I agree.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Have a motion to pay the bills, please.
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Our next meeting will be April 17th here at 7:30. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Thank
Second.
you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to sign vouchers?